Hello, everyone. We are super excited to be back again with another podcast. Tom and I, you may have seen some of our stuff in the past, or maybe you're just dropping into this one. Highly recommend checking out some of the stuff that we've done prior to this. This whole platform, really, what we're looking to do is to help people grow in whatever business it is you're doing. Tom is an expert in cybersecurity and IT, and I've been in the leadership industry for many, many years, and we've just really come together. We're working together on a bunch of different stuff. And today we're sort of putting this podcast together, not really just to highlight what Tom does, but some of what he's done throughout the years and his IT and cybersecurity business and growing as an expert in leadership development and growing his company. Knowing Tom and knowing his vast amount of knowledge he's had in the cybersecurity world. Today, we're going to talk about why. Why did he get started on this path of not just IT, but focusing on cybersecurity and the importance behind it? And I know that he's has a very large business and he services a lot of businesses. But Tom, to pass it over to you, and to start off this podcast, maybe you can start telling us a little bit about why. Why did you start your tech cybersecurity?
So let me go back to the beginnings. In the beginning, I got a job actually as a co-op. I liked it so much I bought the company, and we were doing hardware sales, and there was no environment like there is today. Barely had email in those days, and our business was built around hardware. And the industry evolved where it turned hardware into a commodity. The prices of hardware came down as the big companies came in, and the margins were reduced to the point where we couldn't survive just selling hardware. And we started to look at charging for service because we never did in the beginning. And shortly after that change came, the managed services piece started in a lot of tech companies, and I think most tech companies today are managed service providers. And what that means is just that you provide a service for a monthly fee and you fix computers. The idea was to proactively do some things so that you weren't responding to emergencies all the time, that you were coming at it ahead of the emergencies and making sure that they didn't get to that point. From there, the industry evolved as technology grew, as dependence on it grew, as cell phones came into being, and adoption of internet for pretty much everything in our lives. With that came the early days of nuisance viruses, and they were nothing more than just a nuisance. They'd pop something up on your screen and that was it. To the point where it turned into an industry, and that industry became compromising computers, getting at the data, and holding people ransom for getting that data back. And it's a huge industry today. And we realized early on that the MSP space, or the managed service space, was not enough to help people and protect people with those kinds of attacks coming at them on a regular basis. And when I say protect, I don't mean we're going to guarantee that you're never going to have a compromise. It's going to happen. Like, everybody has that potential that it's going to happen. So our whole focus shifted to, what can we do? How can we learn about this so that we understand what needs to be done to help minimize that risk, and at the same time help people plan so they've got an idea where to go, or they just come to us when the inevitable happens and they're not stuck out of work for a week or 2 weeks because their systems are down. And that shift is in progress now. Even today, there's a lot of MSP type businesses, and really going back to the origins of hardware repair on an emergency basis. There's still people doing that, which is surprising, but we just really dove into the cybersecurity and risk minimization, I guess we'll call it. And that's all designed to help people run their businesses knowing that they are not going to be down for months on end or lose their business because of a compromise. And so that's where we are today. Really, it just brings us up to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I know that, you're a business owner and you're running an IT and cybersecurity company. But one of the reasons why I think you have a lot of value to add in business in general is not only are you running your business, IT and cybersecurity is one of the most important parts of your business today. Let's say you're a dentist. I mean, if somebody hacks in and takes access to all your files digitally, you can't look at someone's x-rays, you can't even call a client. And I mean, you're not just running your business, you're overseeing and helping, whether it's a dental office, it's a law firm or a real estate company, you're truly helping many different business owners across the board. And I guess for yourself, what were some of the big problems that you've seen businesses go through, and sort of why was it such a big issue, and how did you fix that?
One of the things that um, any successful business has, and the desire of any business owner, is to have a systematized business. And by that, I mean a business that you have proper systems in place so that you could actually step back, let the business run, and it doesn't become all about you. So everything is every process is documented, and every system has a plan to function to really give you free time. And we don't see a lot of businesses in that looking at things from that perspective. So I like to see if we can help with systems and system development. We're at the where we sit in the business with people is we know everything that's going on. We know where, and by that I mean the network functions where the people are, and every single person has a job to do. We know what that job is usually, and we know what they need to make that job work. So when it comes to understanding the operations of a business, we tie into that, and that I know in one case with a healthcare company, we were on their accreditation committee because we knew more about that aspect of the business than anybody else, and so we helped them with accreditation when they were being evaluated. Um, Leadership, I think, is something that you see, and you see obviously when you're interacting with different business owners, you see different types of leadership, and you see different types of personalities. Some, what's the word? I don't want to say some better than others. They're all different. And so we try to look at leadership and look at dealing with people and or everything that we do in life. We try to look at from a leadership perspective and a positive attitude. And so there are no problems, there's only solutions.
One of the main things of succeeding in anything is failure, right? You got to fail in order to succeed. The more we fail, sometimes people are like, oh, what a failure, or man, you failed or you lost, or no, that's part of the learning process is fail, 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 succeed. And the best thing to do is learn from your failures and other people's failures, other people's struggles, so that way you don't have to go through it as much. What would you say some of the things that went wrong earlier in your career that you were able to learn from and make some changes to help your business grow and other businesses grow?
First on the failure piece, I was actually talking to somebody today, and we talked about kids in sports. Everyone gets a trophy, nobody loses, and whatever that is, it's fine. If that's how organizations want to run, that's their choice. I look at that as no failures, as not uh, to me, it's not the right way to do it. I think that even as kids, they should learn to fail because when they become adults, they are going to fail. There's no doubt that you're going to do something and you're going to fail. And if you've never been allowed to fail when you're young, you're not going to have any skills or any way personally, internally to deal with that failure. And I think a lot of kids struggle as a result of that today. And so one of the things that I found was I was trying to do everything myself, and I have to be careful even today that I don't um, overstep into my business and kind of try to make it about me. I don't want it to be about me. I want to let the team fail if they do, and learn from it because I believe that it's important. So that's one piece that I think businesses and business owners need to understand. You are going to fail. There's not going to be 100% perfect. Life isn't a straight line of perfect. It's up, down,
Yep.
up, down.
Yep.
And as long as we can do things every day to push us to the upside, and when we do have a setback, um, analyze it. What did we do wrong? What can we do different? And how are we going to move forward? I think that's a whole um, that's a big piece and a big important piece of looking at how you run your business.
Awesome. So, to talk a little bit about IT, and talk a little bit about reactive IT and why that really doesn't always work.
Okay, so I talked earlier, and touched on break fix models, and that's the old way of doing it. When it broke, you ran in and fixed it. Nowadays, most of the time the hardware is pretty solid. You very rarely have to fix any hardware. So when something is left unmanaged, issues just snowball, and if there's no insight into what's going on, and there's no maintenance being done in any way, the you in a sense you're waiting for a problem to happen, and the problems do happen. And when you aren't looking after it on a daily basis or a monthly basis or whatever, just scanning, monitoring, we have tools in place to do a lot of work and to do a lot of protection and enhancement of the services that we offer. You avoid some hidden risks. You avoid surprises, and you can effectively manage the problems before they occur. And that's the difference between a managed service versus a break fix type model. And the managed service enhanced with cybersecurity is the same thing. You don't need cybersecurity after you've had a compromise. You need cybersecurity before you have a compromise, and you need a plan. So
Mhm.
if it does happen, you've got a plan to move your way out of it.
Yeah, next question I have for you is sort of, what you've done different, but to sort of marry these two together, just knowing you and hearing some of the stuff that you're dealing with, I know a lot of the times you have people calling you who have an IT provider and possibly a good IT provider, maybe not as strong on the cybersecurity end, but they're calling you, and you even have IT companies calling you saying, hey, we've been ransomed, we're running into these issues, and then they're wanting help after the fact, which usually, like I talked about before, if you're a dentist and they get a hold of all your file and scramble that stuff, you've lost some really, not even compromising your client, you've lost all your data. Now it's like, man, where am I going to get these x-rays? Where am I going to get this? What's their phone number? How do I reach you're out of business.
Yes.
So I know a lot of the times when you're, sitting with a new potential client or trying to help someone who is already struggling, sometimes it's like, hey, I wish that we could have started a process earlier so you didn't have to go down this path. How would you say, you service your clients and you protect your clients, how are you different than the other guys?
What's the story? I guess it's more when you talk about financial, and you're looking at um, putting money aside or whatever. It's fill your well before you need the water. Be prepared. That's all. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all. That's it. Plain and simple. Let's look at what's going on. Let's evaluate it, and let's be prepared. And then plan, do, check, and adjust. Right? You build a plan, you do it, you implement it, check and see how things are going, and you make adjustments. Now, that's not necessarily done directly at the client's base. We may do that in the background too. We'll look at what we're doing. We'll analyze our systems. Is this working well? Is this not working well? And we'll look at alternatives to different things. So that from us is a tool perspective. We do keep certain tools, and we look at. We're always looking if there's something better comes along. Something's not working and it's too noisy. Say if there's a protection that causes a lot of issues with the everyday use of the computers because of its interference with what's going on, because it's protecting you, but it's protecting you with a little bit more interference. We'll look at that and say, you know what, maybe it's time to change that for something a little less intrusive. So at the bottom end of it, though, it's fill your cup before you need to fill it.
So, if you can go back through your journey and change one thing, what would that one thing be that you would change within the process of success in business?
Win the lottery.
Usually that would just make it worse. A lot of the times people who win the lottery end up worse off.
Yeah. Sorry, the question was, what would I do differently if I were to start over, or yeah.
Go back to the beginning, right?
Yeah.
What would something, I mean, so that way someone on the other end here that's watching, that is a business owner, maybe they're not 5 years in, 10 years in, 20 years in, as many years as you've been on this path, right? If you can go back and say, man, I should have did this in my business then. And I mean, personally, something that I've watched you change over the past decade that I've known you is what you're pouring into your mind, right? What we put into our mind is what makes us. For me, being in business 20 years, 5 years of being in business, I learned, man, what I'm putting in is more important than anything, more important than an investment in my business into maybe a piece of equipment or a car. Your mind is the most important investment. So something like that, what would you say would be a shift that you would have made earlier on?
So something I read, actually, I believe it was last night, or we talked about it recently, I'm not sure, is who talks to you the most?
Yeah.
Who is it?
You asking me?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not your wife,
you.
it's you, right?
You.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And,
Yeah. I
and,
mean,
and so the point there is that what are you doing to feed your mind with not proper information, but good information, so that when you're talking to yourself, you're not creating a lot of garbage in your head. I mean, I've got nothing against watching sports or watching TV or watching series and binge watching. I've done it. But that's not feeding me and helping me to be a better person, to be a better business person, to be better in my community, to be better for my family, or in any way. So I believe that feeding your own brain with good information is one of the most important things you can do, because you're the only one that talks to yourself.
yes.
A great, you talk to yourself more than anybody. So that said, that's one thing. The other thing that I think that I would have done differently if I went back to start over now is I would adopt change more rapidly than I have. I resisted a lot of change. I would tend to get stuck on trying to implement something and not able to get past that hurdle in my head to make those changes in my business that, 5 years later I made them. And then it's like, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? I should have done it. So I do now adopt things more quickly than I did at one time. Opening up the AI wormhole, I've started digging into that, and actually we've been involved in more advanced AI study for the last year now. I do use it as, let me start with AI. A lot of people use it as a search engine. You can go in and you can do that with Google or whatever Microsoft's one is, or anything. You can go and search and you get your answers somewhat. You can do that with an AI partner as well. I look at it as more of a resource, a thought partner to help me clarify some thoughts and thinking. I can put my thoughts in there in a scrambled mess. I can say, okay, what am I missing here? Is there something outside the box that you can point me to that I can investigate further? And it's not a basic search engine now. It's a more powerful tool. Not to replace people, not to do anything like that, just more to help me enhance myself and my organizational and business skills, really, is when I do it. I use it for personal stuff too, like making bread and making recipes and that kind of thing. Then it becomes a search engine, but really,
Yeah, very brilliant.
It's an important tool, right?
Yeah, no, I think that, some people are against AI, some people are for AI, some people are embracing it, and some people are taking it too far. But when you look at it, we are who created it. So what is really happening is just a program that can take a lot of what people know, pack it in, and then deliver it when you want it instantly. Like I have a lot of knowledge, but sometimes it's like, I know that. I read that somewhere. I got to process. I can't remember. I'm distracted. AI can spit it out. The problem is where you have to watch is you can program AI a lot of wrong, and then eventually you'll start thinking it's right. So that's why sometimes, people ask questions and it's like, that's not right. Well, it's because a lot of people think it is right. Now it thinks it's right. And that's why we have to remember we're smarter because we're human, right? Where AI is just working for us. It's like it's the best assistant that you could really get.
It's another tool, and how you
Yep.
use it is important. And that's where I to go back to. Yeah, I use it as a search engine, or I mean, I could spend 15 minutes searching for something specific, not just what Ford cars were made in 1968. I use it for something more specific, that I got a number of different points that I want to pull together into one answer, and it can do that in seconds, where I could spend a day researching it. And that's kind of part of where I use it. I just believe that you know there's more senior business people around. I mean, business people are of all ages, but I think as you get to be more, if you age, as we age more, we tend to look at things a little bit differently, and maybe are less flexible to change. But if you're servicing businesses, for one thing, you'll find that the young people that are coming up today aren't saying, well, should I use AI? It's a horrible thing. No, they're adopting and they're growing up with it. It's part of their DNA, and they're going to be using it. So you're going to be at a disadvantage if you don't jump on the bandwagon and join them. And that comes with a whole other area of cyber risk that you need to understand and be aware of. I think a lot of companies, it's being used in companies, and people don't even know that their staff are using it.
Yeah.
And that's again policy and just understanding your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, going down that path, I know there's a lot more that you know about AI and leveraging it. And I mean, if you're watching this video on YouTube, definitely, like the video if you like it. And something that you could even do is put in the notes if you want us to do more on AI. We can even do a talk specific on AI. But to sort of wrap this up and, some takeaway thoughts, maybe something that could encourage our listeners and help our listeners. Before I pass it over to you, I just want to, you were talking about before, and we talked about sort of what we put in. And a lot of time, like you said, who's talking to you the most? We are. Well, we can fix that, right? We can fix that by what we put in. A lot of the times people are like, and it might be you watching this right now, like, I need a vacation. I just need a week away. I need to sit on a beach and do nothing. I'm so stressed out or I'm so overwhelmed. And so many people, they take that trip, they go away, right? They sit on the beach, they relax, they do whatever they want to do. And then they come back and it's almost instant. It's like, boom, right back to where we started. What happened? Well, the reason for that is you didn't need a vacation, right? Your brain needed to be fed. And if you're not putting in good information, that's why you feel, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I got nothing left. Man, start feeding your mind. And that's really why Tom and I love doing this is we're constantly reading. We're constantly plugging into podcasts, right? My whole life is personal professional development. That's what I do. And I'm constantly pouring in good to my mind. And when you feed your mind, eventually you get to a point where like, I don't even need a vacation. I love what I do. I love my life. And I mean, that would be my, giveaway for a takeaway from this podcast is make sure when you're talking to yourself, it's good. And if you're not talking to yourself, what you put in, make sure that it's feeding you. Nobody would drink gasoline, right? We know what's going to happen. But too much Netflix, too much crap music, too much junk, it's like drinking gasoline. You're gonna struggle. The car's not going to run properly. If you don't put gasoline, if you put in salt, well, we need salt. We don't need gasoline. So start pouring in good, and you'll start noticing a huge difference. So, Tom, if you want to sort of wrap it up with a takeaway for the business owners listening, some takeaway advice.
Well, I wouldn't drink water out of a gas can even. So that's my advice for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's the fill your mind and fill it with good information and as much as you can. I read somewhere and it's astronomical the number of negative thoughts go through our brain in a day. And if you can start to reframe them and look at things in a positive manner, I think positive will follow you. Yeah, that's really I think what I would say is just make sure your attitude's good, have fun, make a difference.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the time. This was great. I learned a lot myself, and I hope you plugging in did as well. I appreciate you sharing some of your wisdom and experience and failures and growth, and so that way people watching this can move forward and win. And I love that this sort of highlights a little bit about who you are and the space that you love, which is cybersecurity. And I know you service and help a lot of businesses, and they're definitely blessed to have you. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Paul.